10 seconds. Take up speed. Okay. Anytime.
Okay. As two influential Alaskan women, what is your reaction to the oil spill?
Go for it, Shelley. Well, I really feel like at this point, of course I live in Homer, and we haven't seen a lot of oil, but we've been on the front lines as far as kind of cleaning up the mess and making statements about the environment. But I feel betrayed not only by the oil company but by our lawmakers. I feel like a lot of people are being hurt economically. The fishermen, the people who make their living off of the land, subsistence, native subsistence people. But, you know, it's just your basic Alaskan who's been here a long time and is here because I love the land. I'm outraged. I'm outraged that we were gullible and trusted Alyeska and all the oil companies to make sure that they had the means of cleaning up a spill, and they had the means of ensuring there wasn't a spill. And I'm just kind of amazed at this point that just a mere 6 months after the spill, I'm starting to hear people forget it all. And I'm not hearing the desire to see double-hulled boats, for example. We're not looking at substantive legislation. The spill bills that are going through on a national level don't have the teeth that I'd like to see in them. And I guess I'm just real disappointed. I'm very disappointed, and I don't want to sound like an oatmeal commercial, but I'm still waiting for the players to do the right thing, and they're not coming through. It doesn't seem like the oil companies are, you know, trying to save a buck, and we all live on this earth. And we have to respond in a responsible way, and it's not happening. I mean, I down in Homer, I see these guys point at rocks, you know, and say, "Oh, it's clean," you know, and it's very offensive to me.
And for me, I guess I'm still in a state of shock about it. I live in Nome, but I've spent a lot of time in Prince William Sound and gone on kayak trips and things out there. And, you know, hopefully people will learn a lesson from this. You know, if I want to be the hard-pressed optimist, that's what I think, that maybe we'll learn something from this. But I still can't believe it happened in Prince William Sound. And it's not just a loss, you know, to me personally or to the fishermen and the people that live down there. I mean, it's a loss to everybody in the whole world. It's just one of the most pristine places you'll ever see. And I mean, these people are saying, oh, we got it cleaned up, we got it under control. It's not going to be the same 100 years from now. I mean, the damage has been done. And there's no excuse for it. And it just shows to me the extent of people's greed, and for one, and the fact that we were really naive to let this happen there. The damage is irreparable. And I just hope that people are going to really learn a good lesson from this. We can't let the oil companies get away with doing this to us. But it also comes from a lot of our own greed, too. I mean, people have to live. They've got to make a living one way or another. But it's not the only consideration. And I think this is really just the start of it. I mean, the pollution and the, you know, continual spills and things like this that you and I are going to see in our lifetime, I mean, is going to be just amazing unless people really start to take charge and do things about these problems, you know, to prevent this.
It's not just oil companies.
It's not at all.
It's aluminum companies and timber companies, and I mean, it's an environmental interest that has to become important enough that people are willing to pay for it. Mm-hmm. You know, and not in the way we're paying for it up here now. And I think the state, you know, I hate to say that we brought it on ourselves, because I don't think that's 100% true. It would be nice to think you could trust a company and a company's rhetoric, but we have now learned that. And I particularly hope our elected state officials realize that they were sold a bill of goods and bought and paid for.
But if we're not really careful, the same thing's just going to keep happening. I mean, you know, the fact is the oil companies, they've got a lot more money for lobbying and for publicity, you know, and I mean, right now, I mean, just the things I've seen that have been in the media, you know, and how they control that. I mean, they've got the money to do that. And, you know, the people that want to try to change that really don't have near the power of the oil companies. And there's got to be some kind of shift towards a balance there at least.
However, they do have, you know, the ability to walk out on any mile of the 700 miles of oiled beach and stick their finger in the gravel and find out the truth about the Exxon cleanup.
Yeah, and I can't believe it. I've seen things. I mean, I don't have television reception where I live, and so I'm not as up on the news as a lot of people, but I mean, I saw them bragging on some news show last week saying, oh yeah, and this beach is coming back to life. Look, there's barnacles. And these barnacles have been dead for probably 10 years, but you know, they're trying to say, I mean, granted, they've done some work out there, but to say that their work is finished and for us to let them say their work is finished is just crazy.
But a bigger issue than that is, you know, what happens in Bristol Bay? What happens in the St. George Basin? What are we going to do about... The thing that kills me is there's all this yahoo about Valdez. What about Cook Inlet? There's no response team down there today. We have tankers run by Homer just about every day of the week. And there's nothing down there to keep it from happening today. 6 months later, nothing is different in terms of our preparation for another disaster. You know, I mean, this focus on Valdez is ludicrous. Why don't we, you know, focus on the whole issue? You know, look at Anwar. How our oil companies are going to be held responsible? How are we going to do that?
Homer was most seriously hit by the impact of the oil spill in mental health and alcoholism. What is your feeling in seeing your neighbors, the community? How has it been affected in the last 6 months?
Well, we've had a lot of transient people come to town. I mean, I guess it's no different really than pipeline days. In Homer itself, you know, you have a lot more crime. You have a lot more mental health problems in terms of battering. You see an increase in child abuse. I think the police have seen a real increase in their calls. The sad thing to me has been what's happened in the villages. Subsistence villages that are trying really hard to get a handle on an alcohol problem, and then there's been this big influx of money. There's no fishing. You know, the culture, which has got a precarious hold anyway, you know, is once again shifted. And people in a lot of our nearby villages are back to square one when it comes to dealing with drying out their people and dealing with the social problems that they have at home.
Yeah, and when you take away that subsistence lifestyle from the villages, which is basically what this oil spill has done, I mean, you're taking about like the last thing they have left, you know? And it's not just them. I mean, it's, you know, what about these guys that have moved their families down in that area and you know, they've been planning on fishing for a living, and, you know, what are they going to do for the next 5 or 10 years? You know, they're just left holding the pot.
Yeah, there are a lot of individuals who've been hurt. And there are a lot of people, I mean, I feel like my brother's keeper, and that I love Alaska and would never think of living anywhere else. And when any little spot of it is destroyed, it hurts. You know, and I don't know what we're willing to pay for that.
It's such a pity because, like, Alaska is just one of the few places left in the world that has been fairly undamaged, you know? And there's getting to be fewer and fewer places like that all the time. And people are so passive about things these days. They don't want to get involved in anything. And I just hope, if nothing else, you know, that this will rouse people off their armchairs enough to decide, okay, we don't want this to happen anymore. Let's do something about it. You know, let's not just trash this whole world, you know? And I hope, if nothing else, that people can learn something from this oil spill and try to make it not happen again anywhere else.
Let's take a focus, since we're short on time, on you both have come out with a very interesting piece of literature, Key to Alaska. Where do you foresee that in means of glasnost, the Soviet-American relations? Where do you foresee your impact on literature and of course, your strong sports background as first woman winner of the Iditarod? Where do you see that between U.S. Soviet relations?
Well, it's an interesting question, and I myself am still trying to figure out exactly what role I would like to play as far as the relations between the Soviets and ourselves. And I live in an area up in Nome where we're having a lot of action there, and a lot of these people are coming over and we're going over there. And I haven't been myself over there yet, but probably the thing that stands out to me most from the people I've talked to that have been there is just how much these people are just like us. You know, we've had each other's governments pitting us against each other for so long that we've kind of all got these ideas of what the other people are like, you know. And we're finding out that a lot of that's just really not true. And I think with the kids, you know, and the books that we're doing that are aimed at children or whatever, you know, the interests are going to be the same. And Shelley's got the one book that's about the dinosaurs of Alaska, and things like that are going to pertain, you know, directly to what these people are interested in. And I know too, you know, in the Nome area, they've done some exchanges where the Soviet kids have come over to Nome, and then the Nome kids have gone over. And what a great way to just start trying to maintain better relations with the other country. And I think it's really a good step in the direction to start sharing things like that.
Let's focus on two areas. Let's focus first of all on the sports aspects. Where do you see the Iditarod potentially? Is there a race over there currently right now? And if not, what about the possibility of starting one that has been mentioned?
I don't think the Soviets are racing sled dogs over there much, but they do have sled dogs in a lot of the villages up north there. And I've spoken with some of the people from over there to find out what it's like. And you know, I think it'd be a really good way, again, to try to start some kind of conjunctive relations with these people. I mean, it'd be great to be involved in a sporting event together with them. I think the logistics involved in doing something like that are going to be pretty intensive. And I'm not sure if they'll be able to start a race actually this year that involves both racing in the Soviet area and then also in Alaska. But I think a lot of the groundwork is being laid to do something like that, and I know they're trying to get some Soviet drivers over to run the Iditarod this year. And it's all just a really good step in the right direction.
Thank you. Let's focus in on your recent book about dinosaurs, taking the historical perspective, since we share the same latitude there. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, we want to be the land bridge to the Soviet Union from Alaska, like we were so many thousands of years ago. A lot of our culture came from Asia, and I think this free exchange is really important. And I'm kind of intrigued with the idea of sharing our children's books with kids in the Soviet Union, because, you know, here we want children to read, to learn, and to gain knowledge, and that's what the whole glasnost is about, is getting to know one another. And we're always saying in our country, you know, if we can only catch children young enough to teach them, you know, the good things. Well, that's, you know, my hope is that we can take good books, you know, that reflect our lives and introduce them to children in the Soviet Union and vice versa, and have us all gain that knowledge before fear ever gets implanted. Because I see, you know, with adults, you know, there's this kind of cynical attitude of, you know, oh, well, is this for real? And is Mikhail Gorbachev really what he appears to be? And, you know, that's kind of, we hope that he is, and we want peace, but do we trust him? Mm-hmm. You know, and I really hope that we can get through children a lasting peace. And, you know, I think we'd like to be part of that. Our books, you know, about certainly are going to be of interest there. You know, it's the same climate and the same stuff, and, you know, I bet they don't know a lot about the dinosaurs that used to live in that area. So it'd be fun to share that with them.
Translate it.
Yeah, translate it. Yeah. And I know there are a lot of really good Russian authors, children's authors. I have one book that was just recently given to me by a visiting Soviet journalist from a very well-known Russian author that's been translated. So I hope we can do a lot of that. I think that would be just great. I can hardly wait to go. I missed my chance this spring, but I'm going to try again here soon.
Great. Well, thank you. That about covers it.
Could I just ask you how the book came about?
Mm-hmm.
If you guys could comment on that.
The dinosaur book?
No, the...
Danger.
Yeah, Danger. Yeah.
The Danger book. Well, Shelley's been involved with writing books for quite a while, and I've got my book Race Across Alaska that is kind of a nonfiction account of when I won the Iditarod in '85, but we've known each other for years and wanted to collaborate on a project for quite some time, and we've tossed around all different kind of ideas on what would be a fun project for doing a book on. And I just, one evening, we were together with another friend of ours in Nome, and I just came up with this thing. It's like, okay, I got it. I've got this great idea. Let's do it about my cat. And I mean, I've always kind of wanted to be a person that, you know, I don't like to be stereotyped, for one. And this kind of falls right into my category, you know, the dog musher who's got a cat.
Pardon the pun.
And anyway, so it felt like it would be something that would just really work well. And it was a lot of fun, and that's what got me into it, you know, probably more than anything.
That was the real prerequisite. We didn't.
Yeah.
We knew we were going to do a book about her cat. We didn't know what the book was about. And when I decided that the cat had to win the Iditarod, I remember Shannon, the illustrator, saying,
She's going,
"Can we
"No."
do that? What will the Iditarod Trail Committee say?" You know, and that just made it all the better. You know, it was really fun. Libby keeps saying, "We wanted cats to get their fair share of the glory," you know. So, you know, it's just a real fun idea. And then our last book, Thunderfeet, Shannon's and my last book, had a tape with it. And Hobo Jim did the music, and that was the most fun. I mean, it added a whole different element. And I knew Libby was our secret weapon because, unlike most people I knew, she had a great voice. And so we were going to get her to sing, and then she said, if we're going to do this, we should get a person to be the cat, and that person should be Mr. White Keys, King of Spam from Anchorage, from the
But he has
Fly-By-Night
this great
Club,
voice,
yeah.
and he just kind of fit in with the character of the whole project and stuff like that. And we also had some really good talent with the rest of the musicians, people from Anchorage that are all pretty well known down there.
It's definitely a Made in Alaska project.
Definitely.
And it, you know, it's just a real fun look at the Iditarod, and you know, we had a great time with it. It's worked real well, and people in the lower 48 like it a lot.
And I think it sends out a good message to kids without trying to cram anything down their throat or without lecturing or whatever. I mean, it's just kind of the basic idea is no matter who you are, you can be anybody you want to be and do just about anything you want to do. And it's all put in a real fun way.
And isn't that the message of Alaska? I mean, isn't that why we're all here, is to have an adventure or two and, you know, live our lives and find our dreams and all that, you know.
And do a little something out of the ordinary.
Yeah, do a little something out of the ordinary. So,
Do you foresee that as having universal aspects as far as the Soviet American? I mean, they'd find the humor in that as well. It's universal dreams of achieving your goals.
I
well,
would imagine.
you know, yeah,
I'd like to hope so.
everybody wants to do that. You know, it's really wonderful for us. We just came back from a book tour to go outside where people don't know anything. They don't know who Libby Riddles is. They don't know anything about the Iditarod. They kind of sort of think it might have something to do with dogs and, you know, sleds, but that's about it. And it's really neat to see them just come alive when they start realizing, you know, there's a whole different world out there, you know, and this is our little part of it that we want to show them. And particularly kids in big cities, you know, it's like, what? They can't believe it. It's so exciting to them to think, you know, what, this woman did what? She took a dog team for 3 weeks? Did she really eat fish head stew? You know, even the eyes So it's real neat to take this stuff outside and show it to kids. And you know, our kids here, they always knew they had a good thing going. You know, they're Alaskan kids, so.
It's been fun for me too, because I've always, you know, since a very young age, written a lot and played music a lot. And I've enjoyed it because it's helping me, you know, develop those skills. But I can do it in a lighthearted way, I guess, too, because it's for kids, and I'm real comfortable with doing that.
Great, thank you so
And he's
much.
out of film.
It's 5 o'clock.
Ha ha ha. We're done.
Good timing. Oh, good.
Really?
She makes a mean pasta dish.
Yeah, right. Well, I think it's been, you know, my goal has been to try to maintain a balance with all these things that have happened since my success. And, you know, it's been several years since I won the race, and I'm just really now starting to get into doing things like this, where I'm doing tours and I'm away from home a lot more. But see, my basic thing is that I just really didn't want to change my lifestyle that much, and I probably could have taken advantage of my win a lot more than what I have. On the other hand, you know, I feel a responsibility to the sport and being a spokesperson for it, and also as a role model to kids. And, you know, those kind of things make me feel like, hey, this is part of what goes along with the job, and it is something I really enjoy. If I can help inspire, especially young people, hey, I'm all for it. And, you know, I just feel really privileged. I feel like I've been really lucky to be in this position, and I like people. You know, I also like my privacy and my solitude and can handle that just as well. But I really enjoy meeting people.